Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. In our top story, in the latest recovery updates, Governor Kenneth Mapp informed that efforts are being made to assist residents in restoring power, and issues relating to education were heard from White House officials. The governor will also be traveling to D.C. to appear before Congress. But before he leaves the territory, the governor will attend activities on both St. Croix and St. Thomas that will honor individuals that have served in the military. News 2 Stephanie Brown reports.
In the latest recovery press briefing, Governor Mapp reminds residents that although Friday has been observed previously as a holiday in recognition of Veterans Day, public schools will be in session and Veterans Day activities will occur on Saturday.
I will be attending those festivities or those acknowledgments of the service of our veterans in the armed forces.
The U.S. Education Secretary, Betsy DeVos, visited both Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands recently, and on St. Thomas, DeVos toured the Charlotte Amalie High School and the University of the Virgin Islands St. Thomas campus.
You are working through many challenges and are doing so with the interest of getting children back into school and back to learning and back to a routine.
As the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority works toward the goal of restoring 90% of the territory's electricity by December, an agreement between the authority and the Department of Planning and Natural Resources was made to energize homes with temporary roofs.
They will energize homes with the blue roofs. However, before they do that, you must have a licensed electrician inspect the home and certify to WAPA that it's safe to energize.
The Virgin Islands has been approved for a community disaster loan under the Stafford Act, and reportedly the territory will not receive less than $800 million in low-interest loans from an appropriated $4.9 billion passed by Congress to assist both Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands.
It is just a sense of progress, and when I testify before the Congress at both houses, I am going to specifically speak to the resilience of the American citizens that are living in the Virgin Islands.
For News 2, I'm Stephanie Shalana Brown.
Well, the U.S. Small Business Administration has been serving many at the recovery centers. Remember, that deadline is coming up. The filing deadline to submit applications for physical property damage is December 18th, 2017 for Hurricanes Irma and Maria. The deadline for economic injury applications is June 7th, 2018 for Hurricane Irma and June 20th, 2018 for Hurricanes Maria. The U.S. Small Business Administration recently announced the opening of business recovery centers on St. Thomas and St. Croix to help businesses impacted by Hurricanes Irma and Maria.
There's some confusion at times when people hear the name of our agency is the Small Business Administration, primarily because they think I'm not a small business, how could this possibly help me? The fact of the matter is that in the aftermath of a disaster or two disasters here like Irma and Maria, SBA partners with FEMA to provide long-term recovery assistance to, of course, to small businesses, as you would expect, but also, maybe unexpectedly, to homeowners, renters, and most private nonprofit.
If your insurance and funding from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, doesn't fully cover the disaster assistance you need, you can use disaster loans for a number of purposes.
What the SBA offers, it is basically affordable, long-term, low-interest loans to get the money in your hands to do the repairs to the damage that happened during the hurricanes. So, for example, if you didn't have insurance and you had damage to your home, you should apply for an SBA loan. If you had insurance but it isn't enough, you should also apply for an SBA loan. If you're a renter and you don't even own a home, but your property, including your vehicle, was damaged, you should again apply for an SBA loan. Thing that isn't obvious at first glance is that if you apply as you should, and for some reason, perhaps your monthly situation, your financial situation indicates that a loan would be a burden for you, SBA will refer you back to FEMA for other assistance, which could be a grant to help you get back on your feet again. So it's very important, if you are referred, to just follow the steps, complete your application, and return it.
To be considered for this assistance, survivors need to apply by the deadline. The filing deadline to submit applications for physical property damage is December 18th, 2017 for Hurricanes Irma and Maria. The deadline for economic injury applications is June 7th, 2018 for Hurricanes Irma and June 20th, 2018 for Hurricane Maria.
And there's three ways that you can do that. You can do it online at sba.gov/disaster, or you can go call 800-659-2955, or the best way, the recommended way, is to go to a disaster recovery center where you'll find FEMA. If you haven't registered, you can register there with FEMA, and you can work with one of our customer service reps. Our team is on site, and they can help you with the application. And they can submit it for you right then and there, so you don't have to mail it, you don't have to upload anything. They'll take care of that for you.
SBA representatives at the centers can provide information about the loans, answer questions, and assist businesses in completing the SBA application. Additional information on the disaster loan program may be obtained by calling SBA's Customer Service Center at 1-800-659-2955. or by sending an email to disastercustomerservice@sba.gov. Completed applications should be returned to a recovery center or mailed to U.S. Small Business Administration Processing and Disbursement Center, 14925 Kingsport Road, Fort Worth, Texas, 76155.
Some people have been picking this up and running with it. The SBA has already approved over $25 million territory-wide, and it's going up every day. So people are getting the message, they are following through, and they are getting the help they need. But a lot of people who've been referred have not yet completed and returned their application. We'd like to encourage them to do so. If you are referred and you get an application and you don't return it, that's the end of the story right there. Nothing further is going to come your way from the federal assistance.
Now, you can visit the centers at the VI Small Business Development Center in Niski Center on St. Thomas and at the Scion Farm on St. Croix. The hours are from 8 to 5, Monday to Saturday. They're closed on Sundays. Now, FEMA has designated $83.7 million towards recovery operations. Of this amount, $33.7 million is in low-interest loans from the Small Business Administration for family, homeowners, and businesses. Other obligations include $41.6 million in public assistance funds and $8.4 million for temporary housing assistance. Well, FEMA and the U.S. Small Business Administration want hurricane survivors to know that those disaster recovery centers will be open on the Veterans Day holiday in observance this Friday. The centers are open normal hours Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. at all 9 recovery centers. Hurricane survivors who receive federal disaster assistance will not pay additional taxes, lose their Social Security or disability benefits as a reminder, or face a reduction in benefits from any income-based programs. Federal Coordinating Officer of Federal Emergency Management Region William Vogel reported normal operations will continue at all centers on Friday. Although it's a holiday, more than 14,000 people have been served at the DRCs across the territory since they opened on October 8th. More than 33,000 Virgin Islanders have registered for assistance. Lieutenant Governor Osbert Potter says that the U.S. Department of State has issued the authorization for the passport acceptance facilities on St. Croix and St. Thomas to resume their passport applications effective Monday, November 13th. The offices will be open to the public weekdays from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on St. Croix and from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on St. Thomas. Until further notice, he says residents of St. John are encouraged to utilize the St. Thomas facility due to the damages which were sustained by the Lieutenant Governor's office on St. John from Hurricanes Irma and Maria. Now, if you need assistance or for more information, you can contact the Passport Acceptance Facility on St. Croix, 340-773-6449, or St. Thomas, 340-774-6449. 4024. This year, the Virgin Islands Office of Veterans Affairs and the American Legion District 10 will be honoring female veterans in the territory. Veterans Day parades will be held on November 11th, 9 a.m. in Frederiksted, St. Croix, and 3 p.m. on St. Thomas. Any visiting military or paramilitary organizations wishing to be part of that parade in either district may do so by contacting the VI Office of Veterans Affairs at 340-774-8387. Now, being honored as the parade marshal and guest speaker on the island of St. Croix is Major Kathleen Paris of the Virgin Islands National Guard. On the island of St. Thomas, Sergeant First Class Laurel Maloon Francis will be honored as the parade marshal, and serving as guest speaker on the island of St. Thomas will be former military spouse Miss Monique Farrell, Director, Army Sexual Harassment Assault Response and Prevention Program. Senate President Jackson joins members of the 32nd Legislature and the community in highlighting the contributions as well. He said, as we shine a spotlight on the contributions this weekend, it is no coincidence that the bravery and strength exhibited by our Virgin Islands women in the Air Force, Army, Coast Guard, Marine Corps, and Navy are part of a long legacy of leadership for which our society is known. President Jackson said our heroic queens of the past, such as Queen Mary and Keziah of the 18th and 19th centuries, are legendary in history for rising to action to defend their people against oppressive conditions and circumstances. That fighting spirit, he says, lives on in our women today. He said, noting that the territory has witnessed Adjutant General Deborah Howell become the first woman to lead the Virgin Islands National Guard, the first African American to serve in that position. Last year, President Obama named Air Force General Lori Robinson the first woman to lead a combatant command. He said, still, there's more to be done as we seek to eliminate many of the challenges that persist in various branches of the military. He said, may we continue to work together to uplift our women warriors throughout the Virgin Islands and our nation, to whom we are forever grateful for their sacrifice and service. Well, Virgin Islanders, of course, are encouraged to participate in the Veterans Day parades by Governor Mapp. Now, Friday is an official holiday for non-essential government workers, except for those in the Department of Education. School will be in session on Friday due to the damages of Hurricane Maria and Irma. Those days have to be made up. U.S. Virgin Islands leaders guided the U.S. Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, as we reported earlier, around schools on St. Thomas on Wednesday. She visited Charles Mali High School, where she met with the principal and staff before touring the University of the Virgin Islands campus. The secretary discussed with Governor Mapp the priority needs of the educational sector, including support for the resilient reconstruction of schools. And just a quick note, Senator Jean Ford, who's the chairman of the Committee on Education, Youth and Recreation, wishes to kind of inform residents that the educational opportunities that other state colleges and universities have extended to Virgin Islands residents who have been displaced by Hurricanes Irma and Maria. He said, if you are a Virgin Islands resident who has relocated to New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, Florida, or Arkansas, and if you are interested in continuing your education, here's what you need to know. There's good news for you. He noted that the public universities and colleges in those states have extended in-state tuition rates to displaced Virgin Islands residents who attend their institutions, resulting in annual savings that he says can exceed $10,000 a year for each student. The entire state college and university systems are participating in this initiative in the states of, again, New York, Connecticut, and Florida. Additionally, the University of Arkansas and New Jersey City University, they're also offering in-state tuition and or tuition waivers for Virgin Islands residents. He's reached out to the heads of participating university systems to convey his thanks on behalf of the people of the VI. Now, those seeking further information about tuition programs for displaced Virgin Islands residents, you're encouraged to call Senator Ford's office. That number's right there, 340-693-3600, or you can send an email to fordofficegroup@legvi.org. Keeping our eye on the economy, let's take a look at the stock market watch at the New York Stock Exchange. We can see the Dow, NASDAQ, S&P 500 all down 101.39 and 9. Coming up on News 2, we have much more straight ahead, including your WAPA restoration update. That and more coming up next. Welcome back. Genevieve Whittaker, president of the VI Youth Advocacy, Inc., attended the first leadership summit of the Obama Foundation. The summit engaged artists, inventors, entrepreneurs, and journalists to join an experiment in citizenship for the 21st century. Whittaker shares her experiences. Here's more.
President Barack Obama, former President Barack Obama, and his wife Michelle Obama established the Obama Foundation. One part of it is dedicated to the establishment of the President Obama Center, Presidential Center in Chicago, and also at the same time, both him and Mrs. Obama decided to establish a foundation to promote the importance of civics, arts, and technology. When we speak about civics, my organization, the Virgin Islands Youth Advocacy Coalition, was founded on the concept of the importance of civic engagement. This summit centered on issues of, as we face right now, issues of race. The summit included Prince Harry, Mrs. Obama herself being interviewed by the poet Elizabeth Alexander, where she shared her personal story. President Obama gave his keynote presentation. We had persons from the business community and speaking about the importance of social entrepreneurship, giving back.
Congratulations to her. Well, Kane Bay Cares, they donated some coolers and chillers to the Department of Health today on the island of St. Croix to help residents and the Department of Health keep insulin and other medication refrigerated for use. Kane Bay Cares is the brainchild of St. Croix-based Kane Bay Partners VI, co-founders David Johnson and Kirk Chunin.
We're so appreciative to Kane Bay Cares for providing all of these coolers and ice packs, because now we're going to be able to provide them to those that have insulin to keep their insulin cool, also to assist us when we send off our lab specimens.
So right now we have about 4,000 ice packs that are being on to the DOH today. We delivered about 900 2 weeks ago to help with the on-site services, and we have done 4 distributions now in the neighborhood of 18,000 bottles of water. We've done 15 pallets of food. We've done almost 60 coolers to people that are diabetic, and we have 30 that are coming here for a critical patient list. So far we are in the neighborhood of about 85,000. We have a first initial goal of 200,000, which the partners will personally match that when we reach. So there's a big incentive to hit the 2,000. Long-term goal is to hit $1 million here for St. Croix. So we have an amazing volunteer base. We have several people that have been people that come down to visit St. Croix that have flown down with their personal money to help us. And we also are teaming up with companies like Cruiser Marine Services. So our Facebook, Kane Bay Cares on Facebook, and also our website, kanebaycares.org, is a very good resource for everybody to find out how to get a hold of us.
And what a great donation there. Well, as a reminder, as part of the Trump administration's government-wide responses to Hurricanes Irma and Maria, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the Office of the Assistant Secretary for Preparedness and Response, they activated the Emergency Prescription Assistance Program, or EPAP, for the USVI to give residents access to critical prescription medications they need. The program pays for prescription medications for people without health insurance who are affected by disasters. 13 pharmacies in the U.S. Virgin Islands is participating in EPAP. It's at no cost to the uninsured patients. Those needing certain drugs during an emergency can obtain a 30-day supply at any of the EPAP participating pharmacies. Patients can renew their prescription every 30 days while the EPAP is active. They can also use the program to replace maintenance prescription drugs, specific medical supplies, vaccines, or medical equipment lost. Uninsured USVI residents affected by Hurricanes Irma and Maria can call the Express Scripts, and that number is 855-793-7470 to learn if their medication or specific durable medical equipment is covered by EPAP and to find a participating pharmacy. Now, eligible Virgin Islanders across the territory are applying this week for food aid under the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Disaster Supplemental Food Assistance Program, or DSNAP. The program is being managed by the Virgin Islands Department of Human Services. The application continues Monday through Wednesday. That's November 13th to 15th. The U.S. Department of Agriculture's Food and Nutrition Service recently approved millions of dollars to provide Virgin Islands residents with this food assistance. Once you present a DHS rep with an ID, you're given a number and a form, which must be filled out with responses to questions about your income, storm preparation expenses, and food supplies, the value of what was lost during the storm. Once you're approved, you will be given an EBT card in which the funds will be electronically deposited in 72 hours. You are then to call a toll-free number, 866-884-2868, to activate the card. Now, these are the registration sites for the DSNAP program. On St. Croix, it's at the Department of Human Services in Frederickstead, the Cardiac Center at the Wanif Louis Hospital, the Richmond Senior Center, over in St. Thomas, Newt Hansen Complex, UVI, Frenchtown Evangelical Church, and Tutu Park Mall. And on St. John, it's at the Department of Human Services Multipurpose Building. Now, according to the Department of Human Services, over 7,000 disaster supplemental nutrition assistance program applications were filed as of Wednesday, and some DSNAP locations were reported to have very long lines. And Human Services officials informed that they encountered some challenges in internet connectivity as well as some power outages. Human Services also informed in a Recovery News briefing that they plan to request a DSNAP extension to allow residents to apply. The department will also provide extended services to government workers who have been unable to get to DSNAP application centers.
Try to accommodate some of the public sector workers from the large departments and give them access to apply for the DSNAP program. And we're hopeful that we may be able to do that on Friday, specifically for them, because obviously they're working during the day and doing public services, and to come out and go and apply with the community is going to be difficult. It will cause a number of government agencies to close or not provide service, and we don't want that to happen. And so we're going to see if we can work some kind of accommodation to be able to facilitate them, because of course many of our public workers are also victims of Irma and Maria.
All of the sites are open from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Be sure to count on 2. We will keep you updated. Well, the governing board of WAPA has authorized Executive Director Julia Reimer to apply for a FEMA community disaster loan in the amount of $75 million. That action came at an emergency meeting that was held on Wednesday evening. He said the loan represents our projected revenue loss on existing essential functions of WAPA operations. He said should we receive approval for this loan, the funding will be drawn down from the date of approval until July 2018 as conditions require. Eligible uses of funds from the loan include operations and essential services such as payroll and benefits, facility maintenance costs that are not capital projects or infrastructure improvements, non-reimbursed disaster-related expenses, and normal operational material. Meanwhile, here's the latest restoration update from John Griot.
WAPA crews continued reconstruction and restoration work across the territory toward the goal of 90% restoration by the end of December. Work also continued on feeders 7A and 8A and included the restoration of service to the Berry Fire Station in Estate Dorothea. On St. Croix, work continued on circuits along Centerline Road from the courthouse to the education complex. Poles were planted near the Home Depot. Additional customers on Strand, Hill, and Prince Streets along Pine Tree Road and Estate Wim were energized. Reconstruction work was completed on feeders 4A and 5A. Approximately 98% of Gallows Bay has been energized on feeder 2A, and by Friday, a portion of feeder 3A up to Beeston Hill will be restored. Work on feeder 1A has been completed. On St. John, crews dress composite poles that will be planted in Coral Bay. Other crews continue to reconstruct circuits in Cinnamon Bay, Trunk Bay, near Serenusa, at the entrance to Fish Bay, and near the George Simmons Terrace.
Thanks for that, John. Be sure to stick around. We have your News 2 AccuWeather update coming up next.
Good evening. Hopefully you had a nice day and hopefully you had the umbrella, because we did certainly see some wet weather here in the Virgin Islands. It's going to continue for the next couple of days, unfortunately. Taking a look a little bit closer at our radar and our satellite, we do see showers across the region, especially Puerto Rico. Flash flooding has been an issue. It's going to continue through the next couple of days. Also St. Croix, we saw a lot of rain there yesterday and also through today. So flash flooding will certainly be an issue here for the next few days. Spotty showers should be frequent here through the beginning of the work week. So tonight, 77 degrees with spotty showers. St. John, 85 degrees. Again, it's going to be a bit windy out there with showers. St. Thomas, 85, windy and with showers. And in St. Croix, 87 degrees with some showers. So not the best conditions, but this is the wettest month of the year for us here in this part of the Caribbean. So it should be expected. The Atlantic side, 2 to 4 feet for the waves. Winds out of the east from 10 to 15 knots. And in the Caribbean, 2 to 4 feet for the waves. Winds out of the east at 10 to 15 knots. We don't have any advisories to tell you about, so it's a bit wet out there, but feel free to go ahead out there. Just be careful, of course, as always. So as I said, the next couple of days, this is really what you should expect. A shower or two Saturday and Sunday. Monday, it's going to be a windy day, and we'll still see showers throughout the day. And then on Tuesday, back to a shower or two. Temperatures holding steady. Look at that, 85 degrees every single day, and our lows right around 77. Sandy, back to you.
Thanks for that. Let's take a look at our News 2 weather picture there by Ania Rodriguez, 5th grader representing the Allah F. Mullah Elementary School. I attended that school, Ania. Thank you for your nice bright rainbow, sunshine, and blue skies. Send us your News 2 weather picture to the address on the screen and then tune in to see it right here on News 2. That is all for this edition. We'd like to thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you next time.